All right, Ricky Flex, this segment, no top billing this week. Rather, it's just a different form. It's not going to be a draft. It's going to be more of us with our recommendations. March 4th is coming quickly. We are 2 weeks away, pretty much 2 weeks away from the Batman releasing. I forgot February was shortened, right, as a month. So we have about a little less than 2 weeks. We want to give you the best possible preparation plan to see the Batman, so you guys can enjoy it to its fullest extent, the way it's meant to be enjoyed. So we're going to give you 10 movies to look at, and that'll be like your guideline. Maybe watch one a day leading up to the March 4th release. I know Ricky Flicks and we secured tickets already, so shout out Ricky Flicks for hopping on that. Although we're not sitting together, Ricky Flicks, we're not sitting together for the Batman.
It was tough. I couldn't swindle it. I couldn't make it happen. But would you rather see it that earlier or later?
So this is a positive and a negative, mostly negative that we're not sitting next to each other. I know when we have major Marvel releases, I like sitting next to Ricky Flex because I'll just like give him a huge elbow to the side. Like, oh my God, can you believe this is happening?
Eternals,
Holy
Harry
crap.
Styles, the biggest elbow I've ever seen.
I'm
2 minutes in the box.
But it's just like every time there's a huge cameo in a superhero movie, I'm like punching Ricky Flex. Like, can you believe what we're seeing? So I feel bad for anyone to my right and left during this movie because I'm going to be fidgeting in my seat, right? The same for here, like waiting for all these spectacular moments, like the Batmobile riding through fire, or Robert Pattinson screaming, I'm vengeance, or pulverizing someone to their bone. I'm going to be just flipping out and I'll have no one to look to my side. So I won't be able to distract Ricky from the movie at least.
Well, I'm sorry. But again, I'm not sorry because we're seeing it earlier than expected. So you're welcome.
I might have to like go on my knee on the seat and look behind. Like, did you see that? Did you see that? And see you right behind me. All right, let's get to our list here, Ricky Flex. So 10 movies. They're not necessarily Batman movies. They can be a Batman movie, whether it's animated or live action, but also just us. It's going to be like trying to detect the vibe the Batman's bringing. Okay. Get us familiar with the actors that will be appearing in the movie. So Ricky Flex, can you give us one movie that's going to help prepare us for Matt Reeves as the Batman?
I think the clear and obvious number one would be Batman Year One, which is, listen, Matt Reeves, what is he looking for? 1987 graphic novel, right? Frank Miller kind of redefined the Batman. Like before that, it was like kind of campy, like Adam West. You're thinking like this one, Batman Year One. We got to the darkness of the Batman, right? Gritty, very grounded, violent, anger, detective, right? He's a detective. And finally, the setting is like a noir type of setting. The darkness of the Batman is shown in Batman Year One. You see the streets of Gotham, how bad they are, and Batman finally becoming the Batman. So that one's a true origin story post like death of his parents, how he becomes the Batman, a young Batman, vengeful Batman. In this movie, the Batman, Robert Pattinson, will be just coming off of Batman Year One. So that I think is the number one thing to watch before seeing this one. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it acts as a prequel to the movie we're about to see. And I've been watching a lot of interviews with these actors, all right, whether it be Zoe Kravitz, Robert Pattinson, Jeffrey Wright, Paul Dano, all right, Colin Farrell. I know Zoe Kravitz has said this has a heavy influence on Matt Reeves and his rendition of this Batman. It's a foundation for a Year Two Batman, which we're going to see on screen. But I think it also, like something I've seen, they've released, I think, 2 clips from the Batman other than the trailers. One was the funeral scene, right, where there's obviously a high profile person that is killed and makes one kid an orphan that Bruce Wayne kind of connects with, but also a second clip premiered on Jimmy Kimmel a few nights ago.
Yes.
And it's where Robert Pattinson is communicating with Commissioner Gordon. He's not commissioner yet, but I think he's Captain Gordon at this time, but he is basically working with him, talking about these corrupt cops that are in the police department, working in or with, I would say, either Carmine Falcone or the Penguin, who is a drug kingpin in this style of Batman movie. So what I'm saying, Batman Year One, it establishes the relationship and the close relationship between Batman and Commissioner Gordon. Because you could argue the main character in Batman Year One is actually Commissioner Gordon and not Bruce Wayne.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's a great idea to watch this film, but I would also recommend reading the graphic novel if you have it. If I have any nerds out there, it's very quick read, but also it gives you the background on Jeffrey Wright's character a little bit, and it seems like we're gonna have a Commissioner Gordon that's gonna be heavy on the ground, right, on the streets of the crime of Gotham, working closely with the Batman. I think the Year One establishes that relationship. So great pick, Ricky Flux. Great start. I love that we started with Batman animation.
The proper start.
And I'm going to continue with it with my pick. I'm going to go Batman The Long Halloween as my next pick for must watch. Both of these films are on HBO Max. I think we got to preface with that. In terms of The Long Halloween, I think it fits that we're doing the second one. Or like if you're not like a big DC animation person, first of all, shame on you. So I would say that The Long Halloween acts as a quasi sequel to Batman Year One. People typically, if you read the graphic novels, Batman Year One, the next one they read is Batman The Long Halloween. That's long accepted to be like either the first or second, probably second best Batman graphic novel behind The Dark Knight Returns. So, Long Halloween, this is where Batman, he's kind of figuring out he can't just pulverize criminals. There's even a line in the comic book and in the animated movie where Batman says, I have to figure out how to become a detective. It's not just you can't defeat these criminals and cleanse Gotham just by beating the ever-loving crap out of people. That's just not how it's going to work, okay? That's not the way to fully intimidate. You also have to get your boots on the ground, detective work, working with Commissioner Gordon, whatever Gordon's title is at the time, and seeing, right, the full slate. And obviously with a person that's a non-violent, like a Riddler, The Long Halloween, I think, is a perfect setup there. There's a lot of villains involved. Carmine Falcone, who was played by John Turturro, has a central part in that story too. I feel like these two are the best animated movies to watch, Ricky Flex.
Definitely. And these two are like the most grounded Batman movies, I would say. Like the most
animated
real.
movies.
Yeah, animated. Like it's as realistic as you can get to like non-superhero, like real life, but still having those superhero elements of just like, yeah, this would never happen, but it's like this could happen. Like you could see it happen. And that's similar to what the Batman's going to be coming out with Robert Pattinson. It's like a serial killer, more so like not like the Jim Carrey's Riddler, you know, that's like flashy. Like, no, like he has duct tape on his face and he's a freaking weirdo. Like, yeah, that's more realistic for a serial killer. Or what
Absolutely.
You think of one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like the part where you said it's like more grounded as an animated movie, because that's really hard to find. Like Batman Year One is probably the most grounded you're going to find for a Batman story. Batman The Long Halloween, you still have some of these characters that are in the movie that kind of they aren't as grounded, but Batman still, in the way he acts, the way his detective work is very much relatable to the movie we're about to see, because you still have like people like the Joker making appearances, Mad Hatter, Poison Ivy. Like it's a very long story, but I'm also really interested from The Long Halloween being implemented into the Batman is Batman's relationship, or I should say Bruce Wayne's relationship to Carmine Falcone. Falcone in The Long Halloween has a strong connection with the Wayne family. They together, the Falcones and the Waynes, help start like Gotham City Hospital. All right, they do a lot of charitable work together, and Falcone looks at Bruce Wayne as like a son he never had. And that's like a direct quote from the movie and from the comic. So it's like having him in this movie, John Turturro, is he going to be looking at Bruce Wayne the same way? I've seen one still of them together, right? So it's going to be, we haven't seen much of John Turturro. I think we got one line in like 3 trailers, or maybe it was even outside the trailers. It was like a TV spot. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering to see what that relationship's going to be like. But that's what I have. Long Halloween is my second movie. Ricky Flex, let's get with a third movie to help prepare us for the Batman.
Okay, I'm gonna go next. Non-Batman. Let's acquaint ourselves with our star, Robert Pattinson. Okay, let's get more familiar, because he is a long, long, long way away from Twilight, and people need to get that through their heads. Okay, So I'll pick a movie where I think was like the stamp of he's back, but I know some people might disagree. I'll pick Good Time here. Good Time, Safdie brothers film, and is one where Matt Reeves was looking at the time for who to play his Batman. He needed a younger Batman. This is post Batflick. And he saw like the inner rage of Pattinson in that movie. And he said, that's my guy. And he went out and got him. So I think that's the one to watch. If the director of the Batman says that's the one that got him, then we should watch that. So that would be like if I had to pick any Pattinson role to watch before the Batman, I'm gonna pick Good Time because the director told me to.
I couldn't agree more. If I had to pick one Pattinson movie to show before you watch the Batman, it's got to be Good Time. A lot of people, the ones that question it, like even after all these trailers and clips that have come out, whether he has the chops to play Batman, they've never seen Good Time, because Good Time is the separation, right? This like, I don't know. It's like this gritty, but also like this criminal that he plays that he thinks he's morally correct, even though he's not. He's like very open-minded, but at the same time, he's just like evilish by his actions. It's very interesting. But this is where he separates his first career with his second career. It's really broken up into two parts. He goes from teen heartthrob, takes a break. He does some supporting roles, Lost City of Z. Okay. He's in that movie. He does some very, very small titular roles. But then here comes Good Time with the Safdie brothers. Like it's almost like a coming out party for both Pattinson and the Safdies. I think it's for those people who don't think he can get the job done. If you watch this movie, you will change your mind. So I think this is a great pick. Great pick. Shows his chops, how he can carry a movie.
And and you said it too, like he's in other movies as well that are great too. I don't know if you're gonna pick one or not, but like this is the one I thought, but I could have picked a bunch of other Pattinson movies and say like, hey, watch this, and to prove that he is worthy of being the Batman.
Right. And I do also want to comment to show how, if you listen to interviews, listen to the way Robert Pattinson speaks, right? Heavy British accent. Okay. Very lackadaisical. But then you watch, you're like, wow, I don't even believe that's the same person with that New York, almost like a different sect of a New York accent. It's very unique. And hear him speak in that way, you're like, wow, this guy is a master at these accents. And you can also look at a movie that's not going to make our list, but The King with Timothée Chalamet as a star. You see him as the Dauphin of France, the way he speaks there. Like he has such a range with his voice. You start to talk about
Devil All the Time.
The Devil All the Time is also a great example. It just shows you, right, the range of his voice and how you could see him bringing something new to the Batman voice that won't be as agitating as it was for like a Christian Bale when he's speaking.
Delusions.
He's as great of an actor with his voice as I think anyone I've ever heard. I think that's very sincere.
Last night I was hyping up. So I was talking to somebody that has not seen the Batman trailers, but knew that the Batman was coming out and was going to see it no matter because it's the Batman, right? And they were questioning Pattinson. I was like, you haven't seen anything.
That's a lot of people. A lot of people still question it.
And even after these trailers that have been seen millions and millions of times, people are still questioning it. And it's just like, this might be the best actor in the game right now. Like, as in, he's on such a hot trend. Every movie he's in, he kills.
Yeah. He doesn't miss now. He just doesn't.
So he could be like the hottest actor right now. Like
doing his best. If the Batman makes $1 billion, critically is a smash, he might catapult to the #1 most sought after actor in Hollywood.
Yes, completely agree. Like
ahead of like even Leo, like Pattinson is the guy.
This is going to be telling. If this is a critical success, he might be the #1 guy. And people just can't get that through their heads.
He's going to be with Bong Joon-ho in an upcoming movie, right? Jesus. Guy's one of the hottest like directors in the streets right now. That is like his career is basically limitless once this movie comes out. Limitless. But with that being said, let's get to my nomination, my recommendation, our fourth one here. I'm going to go with a focus on a character that is heavily inspiring inspirational, I should say, to Paul Dano's Riddler. One that through the character design is very similar to something we've seen actually in real life in a movie that in the movie, it was adapted by David Fincher. Sorry, it's kind of hard for me to speak right now for some reason. But Zodiac is going to be my fourth recommendation here. The character design of the Riddler, a modern take on it, where you don't have the Jim Carrey zaniness, one that where it's believable. Serial killer. We talked about how serial killers are hot in the streets earlier on in this episode, but I think it's a great way to get inside the mind of the Riddler. Okay, with a very modernized take. Yeah, so I just think it's perfect that we have Paul Dano playing this role. It's not a physical role. You see Paul Dano himself. He's just nominated to the Plump Boy Academy by us, right? Where he's not exactly in the best shape. He's got a very doughy face. He's not someone you really assume to be a Batman villain. He's not like a Bane where you see like a just another intimidating force. It's just more of his mind that is a threat and his relationship to Bruce Wayne. And so he's got some internal demons, obviously. So I think Zodiac's a great way to prepare you for the Batman.
Yeah, and we didn't mention Good Times on Hulu. And Zodiac usually on Netflix, but I just Googled it. I don't know if it's
Currently not on. I looked yesterday.
That's insane how this is one of the best movies in the 21st century and it's not streaming right now. That's insane. But unbelievable pick. I think this is perfect. Like I think you said it, but I guess I'll just combine my fifth pick or like our fifth movie just because it kind of transitions.
Okay.
Because you were talking about like the mind of a serial killer and things like that. But how about we get a look at our serial killer in this movie, Paul Dano, and what he kind of looks like in the second trailer, like what he kind of looks like. He kind of looks like what he was in Prisoners.
Ooh, so this is a double up on Dano.
Double up on Dano. I think Prisoners in itself a great detective story as well, and gets you in that mindset. So on its own, that's a great precursor to watch before the Batman, a detective movie. But you get to see Paul Dano. It looks very simple with the glasses, very not innocent looking, but I guess innocent looking, like when he's
harmless.
in the cafe. Harmless. Thank you. Harmless. But he's not.
You're sketched out by him. You think like
Yes.
he is capable of doing some evil things, or you kind of question what he's doing when he's in the confines of his own home. But also, I do want to mention quickly before I go on to Prisoners, like Zodiac, directed by David Fincher. What's the setting connections that people make to Matt Reeves' Batman? Seven, directed by David Fincher. So it's like seeing the characters he's building in these dark worlds that he creates. It's going to be fascinating. Now we put like a dark world that's created from Prisoners by Denis Villeneuve and see what Paul Dano did. Put him in a setting just like a Fincher movie and let him cook. Just see what he can create.
Yeah, and also I will say about Prisoners, like the anger of Hugh Jackman's character in that, you're gonna see in the Batman too.
Ooh, but making so many connections right now.
But it's insane, like
hella connections.
How crazy Hugh Jackman was, and you think he was crazy. Now we're talking about the Batman post year one, like the most revenge filled person in the world, like insane. So I think that's all I could say really right now about Prisoners and Batman connection, but there's plenty there.
So that's 5 movies on our list right now. All right. Between 2 animated Batman movies, we got the Robert Pattinson focused Good Time. And then we have Zodiac. Okay. Inspiring the killer of the Batman with Paul Dano, and Paul Dano's performance also in Prisoners, right? He's very good at playing these, as we said before, non-physically intimidating, but someone that creeps you out flat out. So I'm going to get going with our 6th recommendation. And I'm going to go to one of the inspirations that Matt Reeves has pointed to continuously during his interviews, even prior to, I think it was after the first trailer, he said, what was a heavy inspiration? Some noir style movies, 70s style. I'm going to go with The French Connection as another movie to help prepare you for the Batman. So this is going to be one, if we have young listeners, this is a 1970s film, all right, starring Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider. All right. If you guys have seen Jaws, I think is the familiarity you would have there. You got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this movie. Gene Hackman is on another level in this movie. But why do I nominate The French Connection? Well, it's not just because Matt Reeves said it's a heavy inspiration. It's like these street grounded stories of crime, detective tales. It's almost like it's a story of if Batman wasn't involved and it was just the Gotham City Police Department working on a drug case.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I would describe this movie. Uh, Obviously, it has the amazing car chase sequence, which is more of just the car chasing a train. But what has me so excited as I watched this past movie this weekend, I thought of like the shots that we had in the trailer, the camera inside the car during the car chase sequence between the Batman and the Penguin. Could we get something that almost has a similar vibe to it and energy that of the French Connection? I think that like I think Reeves has talked about the camera placement inside the car, on top of the car. He said that that scene in the trailer where that car is flying through the flames actually happened. That's a practical effect. That was
Wow.
not CGI. Um,
Incredible.
then going on with the French Connection, the way the cops interact with one another, that's like how I dream the Gotham City Police Department like interacts. I know we're getting a Gotham City like series that's like going to be like a year one of the Batman. Who knows if that Batman will actually show up? But the way they like bust each other's balls and they're on top of one another. There's like corruption. You don't know if the feds are going to get involved. Like I kind of dream of that in this atmosphere of Gotham City. That's not supposed to be really familiar to any type of city in the United States. So French Connection, mainly for the Batman, like the Batmobile car chase scenes, but also for those street grounded crime stories.
Yeah, and I think so. This was 71, right? Best Picture in 72 over A Clockwork Orange, I believe. I think that's right.
Both came out 71, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, it's an older movie, but get over it. It's really good. I just watched it last weekend, not because of this pod, but just because I wanted to rewatch it, and it still hits hard. And I
It's so
think,
good.
and I like you picked this movie. There's a couple other movies in the 70s that you could have picked as well. I think. Um, I think that they're all the 70s movies that we could have picked in this are all around our main protagonist. He's a good guy, but at the end of the day, he's not. Like he's morally questionable. And that's the Batman.
And
So
like I was gonna say French Connection with Gene Hackman, like the ending of that movie, he is so hell bent on
yeah.
tracking down these criminals that it ends up being it does him in, you know?
Mhm.
And that could be a situation we see here where Batman is so obsessed with taking down the Riddler, cleansing Gotham, that it actually puts himself in harm and actually is I guess detracting from like his actual goal of cleansing Gotham. Uh
Yes.
do you have anything else to add? Or you want to jump to your next nomination? Because you said you mentioned a couple other 70s films.
Yeah, I guess real quick, I'll just mention another one, Taxi Driver, because that just kind of
Okay,
connects
explain.
here. And I think that there's like a look like in the trailer, there's like a frame that looks like Taxi Driver. And I think that's been going around social media when the trailer dropped. And Frank Miller in year one also like was inspired by Taxi Driver as well and had images similar to it and really drew on that inspiration from that movie. So I think, hey, direct will be the same theme that we saw from Good Time here that I said, where the director's saying it or Frank Miller saying it relates to the movie, literally direct like inspiration. So let's watch it. So it's that, but also it's again the morally questionable. This guy out to do good, but he's not a good person. Like he's a good guy, but he's not really. You know?
Right. And that's a great point because De Niro in that movie acts as a vigilante himself
Mhm.
with Jodie Foster's characters. That's a great connection. And when you think of like gritty city tales, I mean, the first movie that should come to your mind is Taxi Driver. That's just how it works. All right. So I think that's an excellent pick. And should I just keep rolling with these like old school type films that maybe we should catch up on?
Yeah, do whatever.
So I'm gonna go with Chinatown. That also, so I know French Connection and Chinatown. Matt Reeves has mentioned as heavy inspirations for his film, but we're gonna explain why you need to watch it. First off, Chinatown might be the excellent example of a noir thriller that Reeves is going for in this Batman detective style story. This is something that we have not seen out of most Batman movies that have come out. I know we've had somewhat Christian Bale trying to be a detective, you know, you see the tools he's using, but it seems like this one, it's the technology is not going to be as advanced. All right. It seems it's going to be a lot of workings with Commissioner Gordon and the Gotham City Police Department. Okay. Chinatown has a very much noir thriller vibe set in LA, major city. But the big thing here, it deals with corruption. Okay. And that's going to be a central part of this movie, whether the Waynes are actually a part of this corrupt evilness that is spreading throughout Gotham City, or whether they knew about it, didn't say anything, but also what is driving the Riddler during the situation. And he's obviously upset with the city and the Waynes himself. And then we also had the clip of Batman talking with Commissioner Gordon, saying he doesn't trust this person in the department. He saw this interactions with another person, with either the Penguin or Carmine Falcone at the Iceberg Lounge. It just tells you there's a lot of like evilness within the Gotham City Police Department. And it shows like Chinatown, you have a lot of like upper level like citizens or like political representatives that are, or famous people that are in cahoots, right? Basically trying to take advantage of the society they live in and also hurt others. So thoughts on Chinatown?
I think you nailed it. I think Chinatown, I just rewatched that yesterday, actually. Still, again, it's an older movie, but get over it. Like, that hits so hard. It is so good. Jack Nicholson in it, like that, Jake Gades, whatever.
Geddes.
Unbelievable in it. He is awesome. And like Chinatown is just everything you should, if you haven't seen Chinatown, like that should be on your first list of priorities to do. Chinatown's an unbelievable movie. Polanski, I know issues with Polanski, but this is like amazing. His Mona Lisa. This is
a masterpiece. Yeah. But I do want to say, in terms of like you talk about the performance of Nicholson as Geddes there as Jake, I think there's some similarities. I know we talked over the phone last night about this, Ricky Flex, but I think there's some similarities between the arc of his character and the potential arc for Robert Pattinson's Batman or Bruce Wayne. They're both protagonists whose actions at first are kind of selfish, right? Batman's pulverizing these criminals. They don't really respect him, but he's doing it because he's upset about his parents. He's upset about the way Gotham City is. You have Jake Geddes, who's doing these things. He's spying on other people, doing detective work. He's saying it's for the moral good, but it's really just to make as much money as possible. But in Chinatown, as the story goes on, he's now doing it for the greater good, and he's looking to help other people. And then you have Batman, who notices that he can find other ways to actually help Gotham rather than just cleanse himself, right? And make himself feel good by taking on these bad guys, winning these like one-on-one fisticuff battles. Instead, what's best for the greater good? All right. And we could have like Chinatown, the ending does not pay off.
No,
the ending does not pay off. It just shows you how evil the world truly is. And it makes me hyped to see how is this ending of the movie going to be? Is it going to end in a way that's positive for our hero? Is it going to leave on kind of a cliffhanger a la The Dark Knight? Or is it just going to be flat out, it doesn't work and leads into the next movie, you know? So it just has me excited just when you compare those two characters. They look so different. They're different. Like this is a superhero movie versus like a detective noir drama. And obviously, like it's not that the content of Chinatown, not too exciting. It's about like freaking water for the most part, you know, and they somehow still make it highly entertaining. Great watch. Get on top of it.
Yeah, it's a great watch. And again, like it's in LA, right? It's not like a dark or like it's not like Taxi Driver where you're going to be in that element, that dark neo noir, like the streets of New York, like the gritty grunge feel to it. But it's still overall very similar to, and you pointed out to the analogies there between the two characters, the protagonists there. So I think you summed it up perfectly.
So Ricky Flex, yes, kick us off with your 9th recommendation.
So this is my last like pick, right? Like we're doing 10.
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I get this in here because I think our 8 are much more important to this, are important. But let's say you're strapped for time or you've already seen all 8 of these movies. I'm going off the beaten path here.
I have a guess. I have a guess, but I'm not gonna guess it. I'm just gonna keep it in my head and I'll say if it's right.
I don't think you can guess it because it's not even a movie.
Okay.
Nirvana music videos.
Okay. I had something similar, Ricky Flex. I had something very similar. I was gonna do the live MTV Unplugged of Nirvana.
Okay.
Or I was gonna say listen to the album Nevermind, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, so when he was writing, like Matt Reeves was writing this, like he was listening to Nirvana and Nevermind. And he keeps making the connections to Bruce Wayne. And he has said, is he like a drug addict? Like the way he looks and acts, like how he's so weird, right? And you see that in the trailer and how possessed he is. And he was saying like he's kind of a drug addict because he's addicted to revenge. And he really was thinking of Kurt Cobain here. So I think if we just dive into, like you heard in the first trailer,
Something in the way.
That was in the first trailer. I think from the inspiration from Nirvana, it's just good if you have a quick few minutes, just watch some music videos or what MTV Unplugged there. That's a lot. And you've already seen these movies that we've listed off. That's a good, like, hey, let me get into the mind. Let me see Kurt Cobain before I see Robert Pattinson's take on this. Maybe get my mind right, listen to some Nirvana, watch some music videos.
See where that inspiration truly came from, because it was obvious that everyone was kind of shocked when that first trailer came out. But it's not just by like the look of the Batman, the world that was set. It was the song everything was set to. And I'm excited to hear the score from Michael Giacchino, but also this music. Like, can you imagine if we got a Smells Like Teen Spirit moment where like Pattinson just beating the crap out of like a bunch of thugs from the Penguin? Like, that would be unbelievable. It would be so good. It would be incredible. But I had something similar. So I'm glad we were on the same page there. I thought you were initially. That was not my guess though. I thought you were gonna pick out the Batman the animated series episode where he goes like, "I am the night."
Yeah,
and I thought that was gonna be the one that you were gonna
do. That's a good one.
From.
Oh my God.
That's not going to be my final pick though. That's
Okay.
not my final recommendation, but the I am the night, like I am vengeance, like I'm Batman. Like it's seeing, I mean, the Batman animated series also is close work with Commissioner Gordon, a lot of detective work compared to like some of the movies we've seen. So that I think could actually work. But I think the 10th is really obvious. It'd be terrible for us to not include The Dark Knight. This is the movie that is going to be compared to the Batman. The Dark Knight is looked at as the quintessential Batman movie, the quintessential superhero movie, but also the best, the most grounded superhero movie we've ever gotten, with a villain grounded as in the Joker taking on the stance of like terrorism that was very popular back in 2008 in terms of like current events, things that were happening, how to handle it. The Dark Knight. So in the Batman, obviously, we got Paul Dano coming as the Riddler, serial killer. All right. Very not as relevant, I would say, as like the events leading up to the Dark Knight, but still that grounded take. Can it be the quintessential Batman movie? This is the one that Reeves' movie is going to be compared to consistently.
Yeah, most definitely. I was just the same person last night. I was saying Dark Knight, you could say it's not even a superhero movie. And that's what you're saying about this one as well. Like that Dark Knight, crime, organized crime, drama, action. Like a lot of it, like there's not superhero, like supernatural abilities. It's just all real, like just humans, right?
Right.
But obviously they have the superhero elements with like the Joker and caped vigilantes, right? Like that's not realistic. But that's what we're gonna get here in the Batman. And yes, this is the one it's going to be compared to. The hype, it's 2 weeks away and we're doing this, like movies to watch before you watch a movie. The hype is
right.
I don't know.
Unmatched.
Unmatched. So you got to watch this one and rewatch it. And I think this one's on HBO Max. I think it's still on Netflix actually too.
Batman Begins also on there, and Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. So Chinatown's on HBO Max. Taxi Drivers on Netflix. I know we forgot to mention those as well, but
Prisoner still on Hulu.
Yes, and same with French Connection. But all in all, like I think our 10 here is actually like really good.
It's a sick list.
Yeah,
it's a sick
very
list.
good list.
I'll read them out in a second, but I do have a couple nominees here, or that just missed the
honorable
list,
mentions here.
Honorable mentions, ones that you still can watch. Let's say you rip through these first 10 films and you still have some time before the Batman comes out. One, Zoe Kravitz. We talked about analyzing Paul Dano's character and him as an actor through obviously Prisoners. We also talked about Zodiac for the character he's playing. We talked about Pattinson in Good Time. You want to look at Zoe Kravitz. She just had a movie that released that released on HBO Max, a thriller known as Kimmy, where she plays the titular role. And apparently she has a jaw-dropping performance. I'll have to check that out. Maybe we'll bring it up on the Drive-In Pod next week to prepare. And I also had any type of Alfred Hitchcock film, preferably Vertigo, just because Matt Reeves has said the camera work in those movies, the Hitchcock films, along with Martin Scorsese, is said to have had a major influence on him while making this movie, whether it's like the grappling gun where Batman is shooting up into the sky, like the gun is like there's a camera on the gun as he's going up, and you're getting these like unique camera angles. And also obviously a Hitchcock film captures like the horror slash thriller aspect. And it seems like we're getting a Batman film that is leading into the horror and thriller aspect more so than any other film we've seen from the character.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. Some honorable mentions for me. If you want to watch a different Robert Pattinson movie, The Lighthouse, that's an obvious one. If you want to watch more Paul Dano, Eli Sunday, There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah,
like just shows how good he is. He can go toe to toe with any actor. Daniel Day-Lewis. This one, Robert Pattinson. Let's see. If you want to watch more Matt Reeves movies like Cloverfield or Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or War of the Planet of the Apes, just a couple other Reeves films to watch. And finally, I kind of like want to watch revenge action movies. People like Out for Revenge, Solo, right? So what do you think of when you think of that? Drive a little bit.
Ooh, Drive's not bad. That would have been a good one to make the list.
I'm thinking John Wick,
Crime Streets.
And John Wick, that club scene, similar to the Batman club scene here. So I think that might have been good too. And then like, I don't know, Taken, Memento.
Memento's good.
Mystery, detective work.
Noir story.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to go Gotham PD Corruption, LA Confidential.
Ooh, that would have been a great pick.
That
LA Confidential. Let's add that as honorable mention, like number 11.
Yeah, and Blade Runner 2049. I thought the futuristic elements, no, but it's still like noir detective story and
modern.
So
our 10 films to prepare you for the Batman. Here's our official list. We have Batman Year One, the animated Batman film, currently on HBO Max. We have Batman: The Long Halloween, also available on HBO Max, a 2-part movie. Next, we have A Good Time on Netflix, starring Robert Pattinson, directed by the Safdie brothers. We have Zodiac, that's currently not streaming on Netflix, was on there previously, directed by David Fincher, on the Zodiac Killer, heavily inspiring this Riddler rendition. Next, we have Prisoners, that's currently on Hulu, directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring also Paul Dano. Next, we have The French Connection, also on Hulu, noir story, starring Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider. Next, we have Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro, directed by Martin Scorsese, on Netflix. Then we have Chinatown, yet another 70s film, 3 in a row. That's on HBO Max, directed by Roman Polanski, starring Faye Dunaway and Jack Nicholson. Next, we had Nirvana music videos currently on YouTube. If you can check out any of them, or you listen to the album Nevermind, you're going to be in a good spot to understand Pattinson's Batman. And finally, Christopher Reeves directed The Dark Knight, that's currently on HBO Max, along with the rest of the Dark Knight trilogy. That's going to do it for our 10 films to prepare you for the Batman. Ricky Flicks, any other notable comments before we end this episode?
No, I'm gonna jump in and watch a few of these right now. I love these movies. These movies are awesome. I think it's a lot of like chalk, I guess. Like as in like, oh, these are some of the best movies of all time. But it's like the hype for this movie is for the Batman is unprecedented. So it goes along with these.
Yes, like these movies are just bangers on bangers. Every single one.
Yeah.
The animated ones like probably aren't as widely seen, but they're still very good. Every other movie here is like a must watch, even if you're not getting ready for the Batman. So I highly recommend it. And then Nirvana music videos, if you like good music, check it out. So that's going to do it for episode 77 of the Drive-In Podcast. We want to thank the listeners, right, for tuning in. We also want to make sure you're subscribed to the SoundCloud or the Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you consume our podcast. Make sure you subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and then we'll share it if it's a 5-star review. Along with that, make sure you're following us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at the Drive-In Pod. And then finally, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube Fire content. Today's recommendations will definitely definitely be on YouTube. And I'll even say it now, along with our review of the Elvis trailer that popped up this past week, right? And our full breakdown. So that's going to do it for episode 77. Until next time, we will smell ya.